Do you ever get stuck in an investigation with basic information like a home address, a name, an IP address, a domain name, a phone number, or an email address, and wonder, where do I go from here? I'm Michelle Khan here with Simply Cyber Media Group, and I'm here to talk about stalking. Open source intelligence, or OSINT. Here are my 5 top websites that I use to start off an investigation and take it to the next level. So let's get started. The first one I usually look at is a website called FastPeopleSearch.com. This is a great website because it allows you to start with a name of your target. Let's say it's John Doe, and you can select a state. So let's say I select Florida, and you can prove you're not a robot first, and then you get a lot of information about your target. So as an example here, you get basic information about the address, about some phone numbers, people who are related, and if you click through the details, you'll get even more information like email addresses and even more address details and stuff. This is a great place to start because you get a lot of different sources of intelligence, what you didn't really have at first. So you can also click through. So let's say that's an address of interest. You can click through an address, and now the search will tell you all the different people who live at that address or used to live at that address. Again, this is not factual information. You have to dig even deeper into property records from here on, but it gives you a pivot point. You started with a name, now you're at an address. You could end up at a phone number and then click through a phone number and see which other individuals have that phone number tied to them in this public record. Now, this is not someone collecting information manually and validating it. This is based on public data sources, scrapes, different data brokers. So you have to fact check all of these. But why this is extremely useful is if you had partial information about a certain person here, so you can correlate it with this information. Let's say you knew this person's email address or a partial phone number, you can start connecting the dots. Notice when you do like a password reset on some websites, it gives you like the last 2 digits of a phone number. Well, you can compare those 2 digits with the multiple phone numbers you have here and maybe make a connection there. And you could do the same thing with social media. You know that that person has, 4 or 5 people on their social media that you know of, and you can start connecting the dots here and say, all right, under the related folks for this person, do those same names pop up? So I like broader searches like this with websites like FastPeopleSearch.com. It gives you a pretty good starting point, whether it's a phone number or it's a name or a home address. So that's where I like to start. The second tool I'm going to go over is for reverse image searches. Now, the simple way to do this is in Google, you drop an image and you do reverse image searches there. But a bit more advanced technique is to look at search engines like Lenso.ai, which actually does a little bit of facial recognition, and sometimes it finds similar images that may be very useful. Now, a popular tool is Pemize.com, but I want to show you a very good alternative here, Lenso.ai. So let's drop an image in here. So I have a sample image on my desktop here. Let's drop it here and press on agree to whatever we just agreed on, and tell them you're not a robot, and let's start the search. Now, if you notice, it doesn't give you this exact image only. Well, it does right here, but what I'm interested in is all the similar images of Robert Downey Jr. in this case. So all the images it thinks it's this face show up here. So this is a much better way to search, and it also groups it up into people. So I can click on the people button here, so this face pops up even more. And now I get related images. So if I can't find this image, or I know where this image is, I can also find images of him standing with other people and on other websites. So it's a great way to pivot off of one image to completely different websites. Now, sites like this will charge you to unlock the sources. Let's say I click on this image here. I want to know where this was, but it's kind of blurred the source here. If I click on it, it asks me to pay for different tiers. No, I don't want to pay. This should be free. So in some cases, specifically in this case, you can use some of your hacker techniques or programming techniques to inspect the page. Look at this foggy area here, and you can see that it has this class applied to it called locked. If I just delete this class and kind of click away, I see it unblurs over here. So it says the full name, it has a website in it as well. Still kind of redacted, but it's enough for me to go to that website or go to Google now and do Google dorking with site site name, and then the description name here as well. And if I click on other sources here as well, like this one, I see stuff unredacted here because the same class here has been deleted from the page. If I refresh the page, it'll be undone and I have to redo it again. But this is a quick and dirty way to look at folks online if they have a social media picture or they're just chatting with you over video. Just take a screenshot and put it in a tool like Lenso.ai to see where else this picture or similar versions of this picture has been taken. My next tool is more around websites. If we're doing reconnaissance on a website, we usually run a whois lookup. We can do it on the terminal or websites like who.is, and there's plenty of whois lookups, which tell you who owns the current website. But sometimes I want to know a little bit more than that. My default is Whoxy.com or whoxy.com, and I can look up domains like, let's say, Batman.com. I search for this domain and I see current registration details here. So currently it's owned by Mark Monitor Inc. and I see how long it's been there for, the expiry, and company details. DC Comics owns this. But that's about it. I don't see much more in a whois record. But this website gets me more information. If you scroll down, you see 7 more records are there in the past, previous records. So it shows you historical records from 2016 all the way to 2024. So you can see stuff like DC Comics owned it in 2024, and then DC Entertainment before that, and then somewhere along the lines, Warner Brothers had it in 2017. So you can see that switch over from one company to the other and when that happened. And also you can see email addresses. You can see a warnerbros.com email address kind of throughout here, but somewhere they can leak information. Like here, there's a Hotmail address in January 2020, but then in July 2020, they redacted that address and maybe turned on domain privacy, so you don't see any email address in July, but they did leak some information temporarily. And now I have a lead. I can also click on this. It says 14 other domains owned by this Hotmail address. Cool, let me click on that. And now I see other domains that this person owns besides Batman. There's DC Universe, there's Superman.com, and this all kind of makes sense. Probably an employee that used their personal email address and then transferred it over to a corporate email address. But stuff like that is what I'm looking for when I'm looking for domain registration data. The next website is kind of related to this. A lot of the times I have an IP address to start off with, and I need to know some history behind the IP address or who owns it or anything I can with just numbers. So my website of choice here is iplocation.net. And when you open this website up, it gives you your own IP address first. So it shows me Dublin. This is a VPN, of course. So what I can do is I can just copy paste the same link and paste it into the search field and look up that IP address. And when it looks it up, remember this IP address is searching through multiple databases to see, how it resolves. This IP address resolves to this ISP and this country. This may be different based on who you ask. So there's a database for IP2 location, or ipinfo.io stores that information as well, db-ip. So there's many sources of that data, and I want to look at all of those. So iplocation.net queries all of those and gives me the result in one page. So there's stuff like ipregister.co, it looks that up, IP geolocation, IPAPI, or IP API. .co, and it helps me because I don't have to go through all those different sources. And in one image here, I can kind of see the different ISPs. It's mostly M24/7. In some cases, it didn't give me an ISP. The country is almost every time United Kingdom, but region maybe here it says Belfast, here it says Northern Ireland, here it says Dublin, and then the country is Ireland. So you're going to get slightly different results based on who's giving you that information back. So I love this website because I get to see data from so many different data registries that store IP to ISP to country-based information. So this is my go-to resource every time I have an IPv6, an IPv4 address, or even a domain name. You can put in fatman.com. I usually don't use this for domain names, but you can do the same thing there and it'll resolve that domain name to its IP address and its ISP as well, and it'll kind of do the same thing. This is hosted on Amazon with that IP address and region, city, same thing. So amazing website to give you lots of information in one view. My next top website is specifically for when I have a Gmail address. So if I have a Gmail address, I know that this person has a Gmail account and they've probably left some Google reviews, and I want to look at their Google reviews. Now, Google reviews, to view that in the URL, I need their Google ID, or it's called the Gaia ID as well. So the one way to get that is through a website called Epieos.com. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but this is a great website where you can plug in an email address. So let's say I have an email address called ironman@gmail.com, and let me accept the terms and conditions and start searching. Solve this CAPTCHA, prove we are human, and then it'll start digging up some information. And it's going to give me information from breaches, like have I been pwned? I can get that information from the website directly. So I'm not interested in that. So just scroll down. There's some other information here as well. I'm only interested in this Google section. And I'm particularly interested in this Google ID because from that email, it got an ID. Now, normally it would take me a lot more effort to get this through Google APIs, sign in and get an API. And it takes a lot to reverse engineer this. It's totally doable. That's how they're doing it. But this is a nice shortcut to get that ID. With that ID, you can form a URL like this of Google Maps, which has that same ID in it. And now you can view their Google Maps information. So let's click on that. Ironman is this person. It resolves it to a name and an image. So from an email, now I got two other pieces of information and also reviews. You can check this person's Google reviews if they have any. This person has a review at a pizza shop 7 years ago. And I can scroll out a little, zoom out, and see their reviews were clustered within California. And this is great because you can start seeing patterns of life. Where do they get their haircut, or where do they like to eat? Where are the places that they usually give reviews, like for plumbers, or things that you would usually do in the city where you live in, or maybe the locality or within a 1 mile radius of where you are. So reviews give a lot of information out. And that's a big piece I get out of this website, epios.com. And Google reviews, this is one of the only ways I have to do this. Quick and fast, and gets me the information I need. So those are my top tools that I would use within the first 5 to 10 minutes of my investigation to get from basic information to something much bigger and really speed up my investigations. If you want to find out more about me, go to my website, mishalkhan.com, or add me on LinkedIn, find me there, OSINT me. And I usually keep people up to date with where I'm speaking, what OSINT trainings I'm giving, and general information, public information about myself so that you can hopefully benefit from some of the things I do. Thank you.